Reasons why principles are important in your life as a youth. Remember, as a youth, you really need to stand with your principles to achieve what you want, to be respected in this society. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a newcomer, thanks for coming. Kindly hit the subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for always consuming my content. So on today's podcast, we are going to discuss about reasons why principles are important in your life as a youth. Remember, as a youth, you really need to stand with your principles to achieve what you want, to be respected in this society, and also just for a good reflection. So we are going to be discussing 3 reasons why principles are important in your life as a youth, and let's dive directly into our points. So point number 1. Point number one is 3 reasons why principles are important in your life. Point number 1, they simplify life. They simplify your life as a youth. So by saying this, we mean you should obey and live to disobey and live to disobey what's not important in your life. So for this one, we are going to read Genesis. You can also check John chapter 10 verses 5. Let's check on John chapter 10 verses 5 for better understanding. John chapter 10 verses 5. New Testament. And it says, "And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know the voice of a stranger." This simply means there are situations that you have to obey, and others you have to stand by your principles. So that is point number 1. Let's check on point number 2, which is in order to eliminate a life of a trial and error. Remember, we are checking on why principles are important in our life as a youth. Principles help you to eliminate a life of trial and error as a youth. So this one we're going to check on John chapter 6 verses 15. John chapter 6 verses 15. And it says, "When Jesus therefore perceived that they would come and take him by force to make him a king, he departed again into a mountain himself alone." Let's check on number 16 and 17. "And when even was now come, his disciples went down unto the sea and entered into a ship and went over the sea towards Capernaum. And it was now dark, and Jesus has not come to them." So this one is, that one we checked on John chapter 6. We need to check on John chapter 6 verses 55. I'll check on John chapter 5 to 7. So let's check John chapter 6 verses 55 for a better understanding of this point number 2, where the principles help us to eliminate trial and error in our life. Let's check on chapter 6 verses 55. Chapter 6 verses 55, and it says, "For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eats my flesh and drink my blood dwells in me, and I in him." That's the point where if we believe in God, we will be in a position to eliminate all types of trial and error in our lives. We will know how to stand with our principles as a youth. So the better way to do it, we need to trust in God and maintain our principles. And to our last point, it says that the reason why principles are important in our life is because it guarantees success. Point number 3, it guarantees success. And for this one, we're going to check on Joshua chapter 1 verses 8. You can also read Ezra chapter 7 verse 10 or Psalms chapter 1 verses 3 to 4. For us, we are going to check these two. Let's check on Joshua chapter 1 verses 8 and Ezra chapter 7 verses 10 for better understanding. Let's begin with Joshua chapter 1 verses 8. Joshua. Joshua is in the Old Testament. Joshua chapter 1 verses 8. And it says, "This book of the law shall not depart out of my mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and out, that thou may observe to do according to all that is written therein. For them thou shalt make their way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success." That's Joshua chapter 1 verses 8. You can also check on Ezra chapter 7 verses 10. Ezra chapter 7 verses 10. Remember, these verses I'm giving is for you to at least to read them and have a better understanding of these principles that we should implement as youths in our lives. So let's check on Ezra chapter 7 verses 10. And it says, "For Ezra had prepared his heart to seek the law of the Lord and to do it, and to teach in Israel's statutes and judgments." Now we can also check on Psalms chapter 1 verses 3 to 4. Psalms chapter 1 verses 3 to 4. Where is Psalms chapter 1 verses 3 to 4. And it says, chapter 3, "And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, and bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaves also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper." Chapter 4, "The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drift away." You can also check on point number 5. "Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish." And that's the word of God. So guys, thanks once again for watching our podcast 3. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you, and God bless you as you watch this video. Bye. I love you all. May God bless you.